Abbey is not now she's a different person. Right. She was never like this.
I will
10
say,
years ago.
When I met her, even 2 years ago, she's so different now.
Yeah, isn't she?
She's developed drastically.
So many things, and that's why I say when your kid's 18, do not give up. The path is just starting. Keep doing the interventions. Keep challenging them. You have to be the bridge. That's what I always say. You have to be the bridge to create their next step. They can't do it on their own. And whatever the challenge is, Abbey went to a vocational high school. We started the hat business. I put her in music. She started writing music, like everything. And that's how actually she came to Love on the Spectrum. It was through her music program. They came and they kind of looked. The director, Keon, always says it was a bunch of kids, and he said, this is a man that's going to be doing a show about dating and love on the spectrum, and everyone came running over, all the young adults, and Abbey just said, "Gotta go, bye," and ran out the room. So Abbey, right? Because I was waiting, and we did a bunch of Zoom calls over time. Did you do the Zoom calls?
Tons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's funny. My favorite Love on the Spectrum story is when Abbey was doing a Zoom call with Keon. And I talked, and Abbey had never done a Zoom, so I didn't even know if she'd comply. I didn't even know if she would sit and answer questions. I said, this, so I was kind of standing nearby just to make sure that she was listening and able to converse. And he's saying, so you want a boyfriend? And she's like, I want to feel like a princess. And he's like, oh, that's good. Have you ever been in a relationship before? Yes, I was one time, but we broke up, and it was very sad. And then there's a pause, and then Abbey so this is camera. Abbey just looks off camera and says, Mom, how come when you're driving you call everyone an asshole?
Oh my God.
and I said, Abigail, that is not appropriate. I was so caught off guard. And I thought they're going to think I'm some crazy person. I said, oh, Abigail, we need to stick to the questions that Keon is asking you. That's not a very professional response. And of course, they were dying, and I was dying. Yeah. And that's like... That's Abbey.
That's autism too. Yeah.
And that's autism. Yeah, there's not going to be a sort of polite, mannered language,
I think autism, we talked a lot about the deficiencies that are caused by autism. I think one thing that's really beautiful about my brother that I just do not see everywhere is just how authentic he is. There's something so beautiful about meeting someone and knowing exactly who they are. Yeah. And there is never pretense. They will not put on airs around you. They will not make small talk. He just is who he is. And we just put out a video on Instagram. We did a podcast where they ask you, so Sobodh and I did a podcast, and they were supposed to ask us on stage, what's your favorite thing about each other, right? And so they asked that question after the show, and they asked my brother, and I taped it because I knew what the answer was going to be. They asked my brother, what's your favorite thing about your sister? And then he thinks, he's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. And he says, everyone's like, well, what about this? What about that? He's like, no, like, I'm going to get my degree soon and blah, blah, blah. And he's going on and on about his things. And they're like, no, like, what about your sister? And he's like, I don't know. I don't really like anything. I was like, okay, that's fair.
He said, I don't like anything about my sister. Oh my God.
That's fair. I mean, we do a lot together, and I'm sure he's sick of me. I know he loves me a lot. Yeah. But our personalities are very different. So he could have played it up for the camera. He could have played. We're in the room with very famous people. He could have just lied, but he just will not. Yeah. He just cannot do that.
No, same with that.
And so I think it's really cool, actually, because I can be very naive sometimes, because that's how I was raised, with my family being very honest. My brother, so honest. My parents, very high value people. And I think it's something really nice about that, having people in the world like him.
Yeah, the honesty and the innocence, and it is exactly face value.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. You feel almost less judgmental of myself and others around me because they're not doing it. When you get in a group of gossipy people, you gossip, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you get in a group of judgmental people, you start to find yourself being judgmental. I went to a special needs dance once. It was Valentine's Day. There was a special needs dance at Abbey School. And there's one girl on the dance floor, because it was the beginning of the night, dancing like doing this. She's doing her, it looked like almost like a karate or a Tai Chi type of thing. Cool. And I remember I looked at her, And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, look what that girl's doing. I did that. And I had a moment of going to like somebody to say, look at that. And it all happened in seconds, by the way, but I know how to slow down time. And I turned around, and in that instinct, I stopped myself and I thought, the only person judging that girl dancing is me. I am the only one judging her. And I felt so bad about myself, but I also felt, in a split second, jealous. I felt jealous of everyone else in that room that was free not to judge, and what a good time they were having. They were all in their own moment, authentically in that moment. And then I came in and like polluted it with my typical behaviors. Yeah. And I learned such a big lesson that night about how neurotypical people might be in the world, and how great it is to, if we all couldn't judge, can you imagine what the world would be like? Better, yeah. If we all let go of coulda, woulda, shouldas, and things we think should be or shouldn't be, or whatever that stuff is. I thought, oh my God, it was such a lesson to me, and to think in her environment, they generally do not do that.
That's what's so nice about coming here. Whenever you have us over, I know, because when we go to events or something, and he'll have his little non sequiturs, he'll change the subject, or he'll say something rude, like typically rude. I may end up apologizing for him. I apologize for him all the time, right? When I come here, I don't have to worry at all. I'm like, if he says something to Christine, that she's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, there's no. You know? That's why I like having groups of people on the spectrum here, because they all know that they can be their authentic selves. Their family members don't have to do anything. If someone has a meltdown or is screaming in the backyard, we're like, okay, if you need anything, let us know. Like, there's nothing. And if you can create those safer environments, it's so great for people on the spectrum to have a place to go.
Not just for people on the spectrum.
Oh, thank you, Sobodh. That makes me very happy.
Oh, you're a mermaid, Abby?
Yeah, but if I did a off the time mode, what if that could really make me turn into a mermaid, like H2O, just add water?
Or like an aquamarine, right?
I remember that show.
H2O, just add water. It takes place in Australia, where Keon's from.
Oh yeah.
Do an Australian accent.
Australian, like Cleo.
Hey, very nice.
That's excellent, girl. Excellent.
I feel whenever we come here and when we interact with you guys, with David's family, with Danny's family, I feel very understood in a really unique way.
I see.
Because I didn't have this connection with people with loved ones on the spectrum like this. Sobodh really didn't have friends. He really did not before the show.
Wow.
Yeah, and he wants them so badly.
No, I've noticed that he does. That's why it's like however we can create gatherings and groups. I'm very social. I mean, Ben both know it.
He's extremely social.
I know.
He really wants friends.
Yeah.
It's just hard for him to maintain those connections. Really, really tough for him. And so then I don't meet with people who have loved ones on the spectrum, right? And so having that unique understanding, I feel so safe. Which I think it was such a huge blessing from Love on the Spectrum.
Yeah, I know. It's really brought a lot of people together, a lot of awareness.